If you're watching this video, you might be in the final week of marathon training wondering what am I supposed to do in this week to put me in the best position on race day. You'll have worked hard over probably at least 10 weeks to get to this point, so you don't want all of that hard work to go to waste. You might have heard of terms such as tapering, shakeout, run, and wondering what do these mean and what am I supposed to be doing? Well, fear not, I'll break down some of these terms and go over 3 main things that you can focus on in race week to ensure that you have success on the day.
So it is in fact taper week before the marathon, so I'm just going to go over a few things, what I would typically do in taper week. So this time round it's a bit different because the training's been a little bit inconsistent, but what I typically do is look to be sort of decreasing my running load by a bit within that last week or 2 before the marathon. So our running load is made up of 3 components. You've got your frequency, how many times you run, your intensity, sort of how hard you're working on these sessions, how quick you're running, and then the time duration, so how long are these individual sessions. And by adjusting each of these sliders, you can make your runs easier or more difficult. And in taper week, my sort of tried and tested approach is to reduce that time duration. So still keeping the frequency similar, still going for the same kind of runs, but I'm just making them a bit shorter and still keeping that intensity in there. So it might be tempting to think that you'll back off a pace a bit and reduce that intensity in the week or 2 leading up to the marathon, but all I'd say is to keep that same intensity in there. Obviously don't go sprinting around trying to pull muscles or anything like that, but if you've got, say, you normally do a 6-mile tempo session, reduce this to say a 3-mile tempo in the last week, maybe a 4-mile tempo 2 weeks out from the marathon, and that will keep your intensity in there, keep your legs used to running that pace, but they should feel fresher by the time race day comes on the Sunday. The other thing I'd add is don't do these late in the week. So if you can do them sort of latest by Wednesday in the week, you've got 3 or 4 days to recover by the weekend. So what I also think are a good idea on race week is to do a shakeout run on the day before you run the marathon. So typically this would be the Saturday, and at most popular marathons, thinking London, thinking maybe Valencia as well, there will be loads of these popping up online, on Instagram, with various people and brands organising a short 5k run. The chance of a bit of a social, get to know people, probably try and sell you some stuff as well, so be careful of that. So that's the kind of thing, you can go along to one of them, or if not, just come out on your own and have a think about what you're going to do in the marathon the next day. Another thing to think about for race day is to be organised and be prepared with the logistics of the event that you're going to be doing. So I know with Valencia, I've not been there before, I don't know where the start line is. I'm going to have to familiarise myself with what's my route of getting from my accommodation to the start line, what am I going to do after, what am I going to need to take really. So this is something I've adapted from a couple of years ago. Had a bit of a brain fade really at the Frankfurt Marathon and ended up leaving my timing chip at the accommodation. So this meant a very stressful experience on the day, and did contribute to derailing my race a bit that day. So something I would make sure is that you're planned ahead and organised with what you're going to take, what you're going to do, and then I guess what you're going to, strategy wise for the race, what are you going to do in the race, what pace are you going to go out at, in different scenarios, what are you going to do if you start to feel too tired, you're going to slow down, you're going to stay on the same pace, what happens if you miss a drink. All these kind of things factor into your thinking.
Thanks a lot for watching. If you did enjoy this video, do think about hitting the like button and think about subscribing to be notified of more running content. And best of luck in your next marathon or race.